Hello, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Margaret, and I'm 82 years old. Throughout my life, I have weathered many storms and celebrated countless joyful moments. I've raised children, worked hard, tended to gardens, made lasting friendships, and accumulated decades of experience. With that experience come many lessons, some uplifting, and others, I regret to say, painful. Today, I want to share one of the most significant regrets of my life: my decision to move into a nursing home. When I first considered that move, it seemed completely logical. My family urged me to settle into a place that promised around-the-clock care, social activities, and relief from the burdens of managing a household on my own. It sounded ideal. Especially as you grow older, it's natural to want less stress and more safety. I told myself it would be a new chapter where I could relax, enjoy my days, and remain confident that professionals were there to look after my well-being. Unfortunately, reality had a way of unfolding very differently than what I had imagined. To be clear, I'm not saying all nursing homes are terrible or that no one should ever consider them. For individuals who require advanced medical interventions, constant oversight, or have very specific needs, a quality nursing home can indeed be life-saving. But in my situation, I discovered a world that took more from me than it gave. A world that left me feeling smaller, lonelier, and less like the person I had spent my whole life becoming. As you watch or listen to this account, I invite you to reflect on the options available to you or your loved ones. Perhaps you are helping a parent make decisions, or you're preparing for your own golden years. Whatever your context, I hope my experiences can shed some light on the hidden challenges of nursing home living. There are certainly valid reasons why someone might move into long-term care, and it might still be the best choice for some people. But I believe it's crucial to go in with eyes wide open. That's why I want to share 6 key things I wish I had known before I made my final decision. By the end of this video, I hope you'll have a clearer picture of what truly happens when you surrender certain freedoms. If nothing else, my story might inspire you to ask more questions, explore more alternatives, or ensure that, if you do choose a nursing home, you find the one that best matches your real needs. And if you know someone, an elderly relative, a friend, or even a neighbor who is pondering this massive step, feel free to share this video with them. You never know who might benefit from hearing a first-hand perspective. Let's delve into those 6 regrets. They're not pleasant to talk about, but I believe that honest reflection has the power to guide others down a path that is right for them. So, let's get started. Regret 1: losing my independence. The biggest surprise wasn't the smaller room, the bland corridors, or even the medical-like smells that wafted through the halls. It wasn't the new faces of the staff or the daily schedule pinned to a bulletin board. The real shock I felt was far more profound, realizing that almost overnight, I had relinquished control of my own life. Before moving in, I lived by my own rhythms. If I wanted to wake up at sunrise and enjoy a cup of tea while listening to the birds outside, no one stopped me. If I felt like having a late-night snack, perhaps a slice of pie or a warm glass of milk, that was entirely up to me. If I wished to go for a short walk around the neighborhood in the cool evening air, I simply did it. These small decisions added up to an overarching sense of autonomy that shaped my identity day in and day out. Inside the nursing home, everything ran on a schedule that wasn't mine. Breakfast might be at 7:30 a.m., whether I had an appetite or not. The lights might be dimmed at 9 p.m. sharp, even if I wasn't the least bit sleepy. The staff would do their rounds at specific times, sometimes entering without warning, and sometimes telling me it's shower day, whether I had other plans or not. There was a set structure for everything: laundry, medication, physical therapy sessions, and even recreation times. Now you might think, well, schedules are helpful for staying organized, aren't they? Yes, there is some truth to that, but the problem arises when the schedule becomes an ironclad routine that doesn't factor in individual preference. Suddenly, the delight of spontaneity, the option to do something on a whim, had vanished. The routine was all about efficiency for the facility, not necessarily about my sense of well-being or personal style of living. I vividly recall my first week there. On the second morning, I woke up earlier than expected. I used to adore greeting the sunrise with a little window bird watching. I tried to tiptoe down the corridor to the lounge to watch from a larger window, but I was promptly reminded that area is closed off until 8 a.m. by a staff member making his early morning rounds. I remember feeling awkward, like a student reprimanded for being out of class without a hall pass. That moment crystallized the harsh truth. My independence was no longer recognized as a priority. Over time, I noticed that resisting these routines was more trouble than it was worth. You might get labeled as uncooperative. Staff might give you a concerned look, as though your wish for independence was a problem that needed managing. It was never truly harsh. They were, after all, doing their jobs. But it became clear that the system was too rigid to accommodate individual quirks. It's said that independence is one of the last things we lose. But in a nursing home, it can slip away more quickly than you ever imagined. And once it's gone, it's incredibly hard to regain. If you do challenge the rules, you risk being labeled difficult or unsafe. It's a dangerous cycle. You hesitate to speak up, and by staying quiet, you further entrench a pattern of relinquished independence. To anyone out there weighing the decision to move or help someone move to a nursing home, please be honest with yourself about how crucial independence is for mental and emotional health. Before you sign those forms, picture what it will feel like to give up the freedom to choose your waking hour, your meal times, or even when you can simply walk outdoors. If that thought is daunting, then it's time to explore in-home care options, senior co-housing, or any arrangement that allows you to hold on to the autonomy that has shaped you. If you're finding this content insightful and you're still with me, please consider leaving a comment or sharing your own perspectives on independence. It means more than you know to feel that sense of community and dialogue, especially at this stage in life. Regret 2. Feeling forgotten. One of the hardest pills to swallow was understanding that while my life seemed to slow to a crawl, the outside world raced on without pause. In the initial days, friends and family made efforts to visit. My daughter arrived on weekends, my grandchildren popped in occasionally, and for a time it felt like I was still tethered to the life I had left behind. Phone calls were more frequent, and sometimes my son would FaceTime me so I could see the house and our dog, Max. But as the weeks turned into months, those visits grew less reliable. Life happens, people get busy. My family had their own obligations, school activities, jobs, social events, and personal errands. The everyday chaos of life continues outside the nursing home, and as a resident, you become something of a second thought. It's not that they don't love you or care, it's just that the urgency of your presence fades when you're not physically there in the day-to-day. Holidays became particularly trying. Everyone would promise, "We'll come by for Thanksgiving," or "We'll see you for Christmas Day." But plans often shifted at the last minute. Someone would get sick, another relative had to work. The children's schedules clashed. Meanwhile, I would find myself sitting in the common area, listening to staff cheerfully decorate the hallways, all the while feeling a pang of emptiness. It's not just your family. Even some longtime friends who used to meet for a coffee or invite you to gatherings start assuming you're settled now, so you don't need as many invitations. They might think you're perfectly fine because you're being taken care of. But care and companionship are not the same. Compassionate staff can ensure your physical needs are met, fresh sheets, medication on time, meals delivered. But the emotional resonance you get from loved ones is irreplaceable. Let me share a small anecdote. During my second Christmas in the nursing home, I watched as a neighbor, Ruth, spent the afternoon in the lounge by herself. She had baked cookies earlier in the week with the help of some volunteers, in the hopes her son and daughter might come by for a holiday visit. The cookies were neatly placed on a plate in anticipation, but the hours went by and no one showed up. By dinner, she gently covered the plate with plastic wrap, tears brimming in her eyes as she said, "Oh, I guess they must be busy." It was heartbreaking to witness, but it was also a common story. When you're on the outside, it's easy to assume your elderly loved one is fine. You might think they have everything they need, meals, a safe environment, other seniors to talk to. The truth is, no matter how well-intentioned that environment, it can't fill the void of meaningful relationships. If you're considering this transition, either for yourself or for someone close to you, be aware that life outside continues moving at a different pace, and you can quickly fall out of sync with it. I sometimes felt hesitant to ask my family for visits or calls, worried I might become a burden. This sense of not wanting to impose is common, but simultaneously the loneliness can be so palpable that it's challenging to stay silent. It's a conflicting feeling, the desire for closeness and the fear of being a bother. So ask yourself, are you or your loved ones prepared for the emotional challenges that come with physical distance? Will you make a consistent effort to remain involved? Because once you're in, feeling forgotten is easier than you might think. And for the residents themselves, it's a very isolating sensation. If you can relate to this, or if it resonates with your experiences, please leave a comment below or share a memory. Sometimes hearing how others cope with loneliness can spark new ways to stay connected. Regret 3. Losing my sense of purpose. It's remarkable how much our sense of meaning is tied to the small tasks, routines, and roles we fill every day. When I lived at home, I was responsible for countless tasks that, on the surface, seemed mundane. I watered the plants, tidied up my kitchen, attempted the occasional new recipe, and even spent time knitting blankets for charity drives. These acts, though simple, wove together into a rich tapestry of daily life that offered me fulfillment. When I transitioned into the nursing home, those tasks were gone, almost immediately. Meals were prepared by staff, and I no longer had a reason to cook. Household chores like vacuuming, dusting, and laundry were part of the service. Even taking care of a small potted plant became cumbersome because there was no designated place to keep multiple plants, and the facility had its own landscaping. You might be thinking, wouldn't that be a relief? Fewer chores, less responsibility. And initially, that's what I told myself. I imagined a leisurely life where I could read books, participate in communal games, or watch TV without ever having to worry about cleaning up. But what I discovered was a gnawing emptiness. In losing these responsibilities, I also lost the sense of being needed, of contributing to something, no matter how small. Purpose doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't necessarily involve writing a best-selling novel or running for office. Purpose can be as modest as crafting a daily routine that keeps your mind and body engaged. When each day in the nursing home became a mirror of the last, wake up, eat, watch TV, chat with a neighbor, dinner, lights out, the monotony set in. There was no driving force urging me to accomplish something meaningful. In my second month, I attempted to sign up for an activity, a group puzzle session held in the recreation area. I was initially excited as I had always loved puzzles for their quiet challenge, but this particular group puzzle was chaotic. Residents would come and go, pieces got lost, and the staff overseeing it seemed more interested in keeping us occupied than genuinely engaging. I remember finishing a small portion of the puzzle and feeling oddly unsatisfied. It was more of a passing distraction than a fulfilling project. Then I met George, a former carpenter who was in his 80s. At home, he built birdhouses, mended fences, and took on small woodworking projects for neighbors. In the nursing home, he was told it was too risky to have tools around, and there was no safe space for carpentry. His once busy hands now sat idle, fidgeting with the edge of his wheelchair. "I've spent my life making things," he told me, "and now I can't even hang a frame on the wall." His words haunted me. It's not just about being occupied, it's about the pride and joy that come from doing something you're good at. Over time, both George and I found ourselves sinking into a routine where our sense of worth gradually evaporated. When you no longer have tasks that define your day, it can lead to a decline in cognitive and emotional health. The mind, left without stimulation or goals, tends to wander into dark places. Depression is not uncommon among nursing home residents, and I suspect part of that stems from a profound loss of purpose. If you're contemplating a nursing home, ask yourself or your loved one, what truly gives life meaning? Is it gardening, cooking, painting, caring for pets, volunteering, or some other pursuit? Then research whether the facility genuinely supports and encourages those activities, or if their idea of engagement is simply a quick bingo game or two. It's essential to dig deeper because preserving a sense of purpose can be the difference between merely existing and truly living. Please share in the comments if you've found ways to maintain purpose in older age, especially within institutional settings. Sometimes the best solutions come from collective wisdom. Regret 4. Declining health faster than expected. Prior to moving into the nursing home, I wasn't a picture of perfect fitness, but I was reasonably active for a woman in her 80s. I walked around the block, carried small bags of groceries, and maintained a morning routine that included gentle stretches and occasionally some yoga poses adapted for seniors. My doctor consistently reminded me, "Margaret, staying active is the key to aging gracefully," and I took it to heart. When I moved into the nursing home, I thought my physical health might actually improve. After all, there were physical therapists on staff, a nursing team to monitor vital signs, and a secure environment that minimized the risk of falls. But as time went on, I noticed something troubling. The more the facility tried to make things easier for me, the less I actually moved, and the weaker I became. For instance, meals were delivered to my table, so I didn't have to walk more than a few steps to get my food. My laundry was done by staff, so I didn't haul clothes or maneuver heavy baskets. If I needed assistance, I would press a button and someone would come to help me stand up or move to another location. Slowly but surely, I lost the small, everyday challenges that had kept my muscles and joints engaged. Within a few months, I started to notice changes. It took me longer to get out of my chair, and my balance felt shakier. Climbing a flight of stairs, even though the facility rarely required it, became daunting. I observed other residents who arrived in decent shape but gradually transitioned to walkers, then wheelchairs, and eventually to a point where they seldom left their rooms. It was frightening to watch how quickly this decline happened. There's an adage, use it or lose it. I found it to be painfully accurate in a nursing home setting. When the environment is structured to minimize exertion, your body adapts to that minimal effort. Over time, I tried to incorporate walks in the courtyard or join low-impact exercise classes, but these were often poorly attended or canceled because the staff was busy or the weather wasn't cooperative. The few classes that did run sometimes felt too simplistic, barely raising my heart rate. Now imagine you're living in a system that inadvertently fosters inactivity. The staff, understandably, err on the side of caution. They want to prevent falls and accidents, which could be liability issues. So they assist with activities that you might have been able to do independently, just in case. This well-intentioned approach gradually teaches residents to rely heavily on assistance, leading to further physical decline. Consider, too, the role of mental health in physical well-being. When you feel less motivated, perhaps because of loneliness or a lack of purpose, it's even more challenging to push yourself to stay active. It becomes a feedback loop. You don't move as much because you feel down, and you feel more down because your body doesn't move. I've known residents who gave up on walking altogether, citing fatigue and discomfort, but I believe part of it was tied to losing that internal spark that drives a person to remain engaged with their body. In hindsight, I wish I had insisted on a structured, daily exercise regimen right from day one. Maybe I could have asked for a stationary bike in my room or petitioned more strongly for consistent group workouts. If you're contemplating a nursing home, be sure to inquire about their approach to maintaining mobility. Ask specifically how they encourage residents to stay active beyond the occasional stroll. Because the cost of inactivity isn't just weaker muscles. It can accelerate all aspects of aging, from heart health to mental clarity. If you've experienced something similar or found ways to stay physically engaged in a long-term care environment, do share your tips. We need all the encouragement we can get to combat the sedentary tendencies that creep in. Regret 5, the loss of privacy and dignity. When you live in your own home, you rarely think about how many private moments you have. Want to wake up and watch the sunrise in your pajamas? No problem. Want to spend an afternoon reading a book with the door shut, enjoying the tranquility? That's your right. You decide who steps into your space and when. In a nursing home, privacy can become a commodity you don't always have. Staff need to enter your room to assist with medication, cleaning, or even to check if you're all right. They usually knock, but the sense that people might come in at any moment can make you feel perpetually on edge. Shared spaces, like lounges, dining areas, and activity rooms, offer little in the way of personal boundaries. Even if you have a private room, which some facilities don't provide, It's still within an institution where routines and protocols dictate who enters and when. One of the more jarring aspects is how tasks once done discreetly at home become communal knowledge. Medical updates, changes in medication, or even your dietary needs are tracked on charts accessible to multiple staff members. It's not exactly a breach of confidentiality, but it can feel invasive. The staff rotates shifts, so you might see 3 or 4 different people in a day, all of whom have some knowledge of your personal health details. Dignity is another factor. Needing help with bathing, dressing, or even using the restroom is not shameful. It's part of human life as we age, or if we're dealing with disability. But the environment in which that assistance is provided can make all the difference. Some staff members are kind and gentle, preserving your sense of dignity by moving slowly, explaining each step, and allowing you to maintain as much autonomy as possible. Others are rushed or stressed, and while not cruel, they may inadvertently treat you like a task to be completed rather than a person. I recall a moment when I wanted to bathe on my own schedule. The nurse replied, "We're short on staff tonight, so let's do it tomorrow, okay?" Something as personal as choosing when to bathe suddenly wasn't up to me. It was a small detail, but it stung. It reminded me that personal dignity is deeply connected to feeling in control of your body and your decisions. Then there's the question of roommates. Some facilities place you in a shared room if a private one isn't available or is beyond your budget. If your roommate is compatible, it can lead to companionship. But if you're stuck with someone who has insomnia, who blares the TV, or who has health issues that involve frequent nighttime disturbances, your sanctuary becomes anything but restful. I've seen tensions rise when roommates are mismatched, leading to added stress for both. If you value solitude, personal space, and the ability to manage your own hygiene and routines, it's crucial to investigate how a prospective nursing home protects and fosters residents' privacy. Do they knock and wait before entering a room? Are personal belongings like diaries or photo albums left alone? Are there private spaces where you can talk to visitors without being overheard or interrupted? These considerations become incredibly important when you realize that once you enter a shared living environment, your daily life is intertwined with institutional policies and the schedules of strangers. So, think long and hard about what privacy and dignity mean to you. For me, losing those things was one of the most challenging adjustments, and it certainly contributed to my regret about moving in. Regret 6, discovering it's harder to leave than you'd expect. When I first made the decision, I told myself, I'll try the nursing home. If it's not for me, I'll simply go back to my house. What I didn't realize was how, once you settle into a facility, a complicated chain of events can make leaving extremely difficult. First, consider your home. If no one is living there, it doesn't just remain frozen in time. There may be yard maintenance, repairs, or monthly bills that continue. If family members manage your property in your absence, they might eventually decide to sell or rent it for practical reasons, believing you're happier or better off in the nursing home. Even if that's done with good intentions, it might remove your safety net for returning. Financial concerns also play a significant role. Nursing home care can be very expensive. Some residents have to spend down a lifetime of savings or rely on insurance or government benefits to cover costs. If you're draining your resources each month, you might not have enough left to restart an independent life outside the facility. Even if you do want to leave, you might not have the funds to secure new housing, pay for in-home care, or handle other living expenses. Physical decline can also seal your fate. As I mentioned earlier, once you stop regularly performing everyday tasks, your body adapts to a more sedentary lifestyle. You might lose the strength or flexibility you once had, making it challenging to live independently again. Even if you regain the desire to move out, your body might not be up to the task. It's a cruel cycle. The facility that was meant to make life easier can, over time, make it nearly impossible to return to the independence you once knew. Then there's the emotional aspect. After a while, the outside world can begin to feel unfamiliar or intimidating. Routine tasks like driving, grocery shopping, or paying utility bills become distant memories. Even if someone offers to help you transition back, the psychological hurdle can be enormous. Many residents I spoke to admitted they felt safer in the nursing home simply because they had grown used to it, even if it wasn't their ideal environment. I remember telling my daughter at one point, "I think I made a mistake. I want to go back home." Her response was measured. "Mom, are you sure you can handle it?" We'd have to do a lot of adjustments, grab bars in the bathroom, someone to help with grocery runs. It might be expensive, and what if something happens? While I appreciated her concern, it underscored the reality. Leaving wasn't as simple as I'd imagined when I first walked through those doors. If you're thinking a nursing home is a temporary option, I urge you to be absolutely certain that you're okay with the possibility of it becoming permanent. Try to set a trial period if feasible, and keep your home or alternative living arrangement in a state of readiness should you change your mind. But be aware that the longer you stay, the more inertia sets in, financially, physically, and emotionally. If any of this resonates with you, please share your thoughts or personal stories in the comments. Knowing that others have faced or overcome similar challenges can be a source of strength. Looking back on my journey, I've had time to sort through complex emotions: regret, resignation, acceptance. I don't regret growing old. Aging is a privilege not everyone gets to experience. My true regret is moving into a nursing home without recognizing the full consequences of that decision. Do I believe all nursing homes are inherently negative? Absolutely not. Many provide specialized care that is critical for residents who have advanced medical needs or memory-related conditions. Some are run by wonderfully compassionate staff who do their best under difficult circumstances. However, for many older adults, myself included, the leap into a facility might be premature if alternatives haven't been fully explored. Alternatives might include in-home caregivers, perhaps funded by insurance, family support, or community programs. There might be senior co-housing initiatives where you maintain independence but share resources with fellow seniors. Adult day centers offer socialization and medical oversight for those who need intermittent help. Technologies such as medical alert systems, pill dispensers, and telehealth services can also bridge the gap for those who want to remain in their own homes but need some external support. The critical step is taking a thorough inventory of your unique needs and resources. Speak to multiple healthcare professionals, consult with social workers, and talk openly with family members about financial and emotional considerations. The decision to move or not to move into a nursing home shouldn't be taken lightly or made in haste. If I could do it over again, I'd ask a lot more questions. I'd visit several facilities, not just one. I'd talk to current residents in each place to hear their candid thoughts about daily life. I'd explore creative solutions for staying home longer, like reorganizing the house to make it more senior-friendly, installing ramps, removing trip hazards, or setting up meal delivery services. Ultimately, I learned that once you cross that threshold, life changes in ways you cannot always anticipate. Independence, privacy, dignity, purpose, these are intangible yet profoundly vital elements of who we are as human beings. Surrendering them, even partially, can have far-reaching repercussions for your mental and emotional state. To those who have made the decision and feel content, I admire your ability to adapt. But for those on the fence, please do your due diligence. Weigh the pros and cons meticulously. And if you do choose a nursing home, ensure you maintain a realistic exit strategy in case it doesn't work out as you hope. Because, as I've discovered, once you've settled in, reversing that choice can be far more challenging than you might imagine. Thank you for staying with me through these reflections. I understand this is a heavy topic, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to my experiences. If you found any part of this script enlightening, useful, or simply thought-provoking, I encourage you to pass it along to someone who may be facing a similar dilemma. Sometimes hearing a single first-hand story can change the entire course of a decision. Before we end, remember, your voice matters. If you're at a crossroads about nursing home care, ask yourself the questions that truly matter. Ask how it will impact your independence, your sense of purpose, your social connections, your finances, and your potential physical health. No decision is ever perfect or guaranteed to be easy, but gathering as much information as possible can help ensure you make a choice aligned with your real needs and values. Thank you again for joining me today. I hope these insights can serve you or someone you care about. If you'd like, leave a comment below sharing your thoughts. Maybe a regret you've faced or a moment of clarity you have had. Your feedback and experiences are invaluable, and I'd love to hear your perspective. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this video if it resonates with you. May the rest of your day bring you warmth, love, and the comfort of knowing that every decision can be approached with knowledge and care. Until next time, take good care of yourself and those around you.